same on the game. Hey, Donald Trump is your president, and if you like it or not, keep the energy you had with Barack. Cause you know this Trump train don't stop. Tell Beto to please come try to take my Glock. You wanna impeach him? I guess that's what you do when you can't beat him. That need to dead that. And I'm coming through your hood in my red hat. And they say they looking for me, I say where?
All right. Good morning. Today is October 15th, 2025. The day after Charlie Kirk's 32nd birthday. And I couldn't think of a more fitting day to launch this podcast and launch this new show, because Charlie stood boldly for faith, for family, and for freedom. And so I'm excited to get this show kicked off, get you all introduced to me, get you educated on the things that are happening in the world. Because Charlie's his courage, it awakened a generation, and it's awoken something in me too. So it's not an irony that I'm launching this podcast on his the day after his birthday. I think it's divine timing. I think it's a statement that we're carrying his legacy forward. That same fire to speak the truth, to love this country, love those who we disagree with, and defend what matters here. Because as we have all so lovingly said, we are Charlie Kirk. And so, welcome to my new podcast. This is Straight Talk with Isaiah Ascher, and I am your host, Isaiah Ascher, coming to you live from St. Clair, Missouri. It's a small town, very, very small town in the outskirts of St. Louis, but it's got a big heart. There's a great community here. My wife and I moved here over a year ago, purchased a home here, and with this show, I hope to have faith and culture, local culture, nationwide culture, and where conviction can meet, some common sense. That's what I am running my political campaign on, is common sense, and I believe in common sense. And so today, we're going to jump into talking about the peace in the Middle East deal, what it means for America's role in this world, because we are an America First show here. We're going to talk about the government shutdown, how the Democrats are holding American people hostage, and who's really being hurt, and why they're being hurt. And then finally, just touch on a local project that's super important to everyone here locally, on the Highway 47 expansion project, which affects St. Clair, Union, and Washington, Missouri. This is a big development for our community, and it's going to be instrumental in how we shape the future of our community. So let's get right into it. Excuse me. So just want to jump right in to the biggest headline that we've all seen, is the peace in the Middle East deal. So after 2 agonizing years of turmoil, of war, death, destruction that we've seen, praise God, all of the remaining Israeli hostages have been released thanks to our fabulous President Donald Trump. He also attended a gathering in Egypt with the leaders of the Arab world to finalize the peace deal. And this deal could be it's a huge deal, first of all, huge, as President Trump would say. Huge. But it's huge for the future of America and the world. While it is delicate and sensitive, it could help reshape our alliances moving forward, and the economy, and different conversations around what the Middle East can look like. So I actually want to jump over to my screen here while I pull up a post here on X, because as you all know, President Trump, as we were speaking about, visited Israel. He also visited Egypt, and so I should have pulled this post up before I started recording, but here is President Trump in in Israel in the Knesset, speaking to the leaders.
How to proceed with Middle East peace.
Says Fox Business.
Year after year, decade after decade, and President Trump in
Lee
his first
Zeldin
term,
says,
showed
for
that
decades,
the
experts in and out of
outside-the-box,
government
creative, unconventional
failed
approach
when lecturing about how to solve complex foreign policy challenges facing the U.S. They declared how it has always been, what the only path forward was, and what the next step must be. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard that in my own political journey, as this is how it's always been, and so this is the only path that we can move forward with, which I just refuse to accept. I think that as a business person with a business background, something that I've learned is that there's always an opportunity to move things forward. There's always an opportunity to find a new path forward, and that's exactly what President Trump did here. He found a new path forward. Not just President Trump, but, Senator Rubio, or Secretary Rubio, sorry. We also had Jared Kushner involved, other people, Arab leaders as well, that helped broker this peace deal. And so it's quite amazing to see, President Trump be able to coordinate this despite criticisms from the left that it wouldn't happen. So this peace deal, it reminds me that peace, it can't come from a point of weakness. It has to come from strength. And as we've all spoken about, peace through strength. And the Bible actually talks about that in Psalm 34. It says to seek peace and pursue it. So you pursue peace. You work at it, similar to the act of salvation. It's an sanctification. It's active. It's working it out. You're actively doing it, just as President Trump actively did here. He worked hard to bring this deal across the finish line, as we mentioned, and there were so many folks involved in this deal, and we're just so thankful that the deal is done and that there's peace in the Middle East at last. So thank you, President Trump. Thank you, Secretary Rubio, and thank you, Jared Kushner, and the other leaders who took part in this. And, at some point we got to start comparing that strength abroad that we're seeing to the chaos that we have seen here at home, unfortunately. You see a stark contrast compared to the global stage and the local stage here in America. And it's why we stand for America first on this show. And that's, that's enough of that. I won't get too much into that, but, we'll transition to the local chaos here. As I was saying, we are seeing peace abroad, but the chaos at home, and we're unfortunately entering the third week of a federal shutdown here, thanks to the liberal far-left Democrats who are trying to push healthcare expansion on us. That's extending parts of Obamacare, which does not work, and they're tying that to wanting to reopen the government through only including these healthcare subsidies. Whereas Republicans are saying, hey, let's open the government first, and then we can debate policy afterwards, which is much, much more intelligent. But who is the shutdown really affecting? Is it affecting Congress? No. It's affecting federal employees, including folks right here in Franklin County that are working without pay. Contracts are frozen. Wages are frozen. Families are stressed out. They're not knowing how they're going to be able to put food on the table, not receiving a paycheck. I actually spoke to a lady just this week, who works for TSA. And she's still required to show up every day for her job, and she's still not receiving wages. And I can understand, I've been in the mindset sometimes of where I sit there and I say, hey, they'll they'll eventually get paid. It's not like they're not going to get paid. They'll get their back pay. But the reality of the situation after speaking with individuals who are being affected is that if they don't have sick time accrued, there's other folks who have accrued sick time and they're taking the time off. And these other folks can't afford to take that time off. And so they're needing to pick up major slack during this shutdown because the other also hardworking federal workers are cashing in those sick days. And it's not a dig on them. They deserve those sick days and deserve to take those days, especially during a crazy time like this. Rather, my point is that it's we the people who are affected by this decision in Congress, by this, political hostage situation, as we're seeing, not physical hostages, but they're holding the government hostage with their liberal healthcare plans. And, Wall Street's up. Nothing's affecting them. Nothing's affecting Congress. Nothing affecting the market as far as Wall Street goes. But, it's places like here in Main Street, St. Clair, that are really seeing the effects. Sorry. Just like the story that I shared. Those are the folks that are being affected. And I actually want to jump over here to X again, because I think that Senator Schmidt, he put it perfectly here. If we can turn that audio up. Not sure why we're not hearing the audio. Sorry about that. Well, anyways, what he is saying is that the Democrats don't really have a plan. They don't have a message. They don't have a leader. There's no one that's leading them. And so instead of trying to solve problems, all they can say is, funny enough, he said, "Orange man bad." That's all the Democrats can say. That's all the liberals can say. And they don't have true leadership backing them. And it's unfortunate. It's sad to see because, I pray for my enemies. I pray for those who persecute me, as the Bible says. And I do wish them well. I wish that they could have an awakening and they could have a spiritual awakening as well, so that they can align more with the truths of the Bible and help the American people. And, Senator Schmidt also sums it up perfectly. There is another quote that I have written down here from him. He said, "Democrats are playing politics with paychecks of working Americans." And I couldn't agree more with that statement. These fights aren't abstract. They're a ripple effect here in every small town across America, and small town here in Missouri. You can't fund the swamp. You can't fund the waste of Washington while we ignore what's the backbone of America, which is small town America. That is the backbone of America. And I believe that our strong Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, he's been someone who has a backbone, who's standing up for America, who's standing strong, and he's standing firm. He says, "We won't let the left hold our economy hostage." Thank you, Speaker. Thank you for that. And honestly, it's refreshing to hear you say that. It's refreshing to see a conservative, like I said, who has some backbone in the House leadership again. So thank you, Speaker Johnson. Appreciate your leadership. Well, it's time for a break. When we come back, we're going to dig deeper into the shutdown and this peace moment, and what it says about who America really is. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this message. Things are heating up in America, and you know what else is heating up? My taste buds. Thanks to Fuegos Amigos salsa. This isn't your average jar of tomatoes and regret. Fuegos Amigos brings the real heat with bold, fire roasted, flavor fresh ingredients and just the right kick to make every bite unforgettable, especially the mango habanero flavor. Whether you're dipping, topping, or straight up spooning it out of the jar, no judgment, I've done it. There's a level of fuego for everyone, from mild but mighty to text your ex hot. So go ahead, turn up the heat, grab a jar or 3 of Fuegos Amigos salsa and taste the fire that America is talking about. Made right here in the good old US of A. Available now at fuegosamigos.com. Or you can pick up a jar here locally in St. Clair, Missouri at PB&J's Antique Store. Fuegos Amigos salsa. Feel the heat, love the flavor. All right, welcome back. Welcome back to Straight Talk with Isaiah Ascher. I am Isaiah Ascher. Let's get back into it and bring it on home. If you follow me on Facebook, on my Facebook campaign page, you've seen me talking about and promoting the Highway 47 project, the expansion project, the conceptual study that MoDOT is doing here. I'll show you this. Didn't realize I was still on that. So you can see here, I got this because MoDOT's collecting feedback on this expansion plan. The survey closes on October 23rd. And something that they've told me is that if we stay silent, then we're going to get whatever's left of that $78 million that they've allotted for this project. But if we speak here in St. Clair and we speak up, then we can help shape what's next for Highway 47, for Missouri, for Franklin County. And the reason this matters for us is because better roads means safer travel, but it also means more business access, faster emergency responses, easier routes to the hospital there in Washington, and long-term local investment, which will help, boom the economy. It's going to help build the economy. That's how we attract a manufacturer or distribution center right here to St. Clair and other retail shops. Things like those industries will create real jobs and boost the economy here in St. Clair and locally everywhere else. It's kind of funny because local infrastructure is so important, not just to the citizens here, but it's important to those who are representing the citizens. Wall Street Ann Wagner, as we like to call her, she even said, and this is funny coming from someone who aligns herself with the Washington special interest groups constantly. I'm a critic of Wall Street Ann Wagner. I would highly recommend that you check on her opponent, Ryan Sheridan. He's someone that I highly support. He is a candidate who is a nurse practitioner. Extremely bright guy. Highly recommend that you look him up. But anyways, Wall Street Ann Wagner recently emphasized that infrastructure funding should reflect local priorities, not Washington politics. And I agree with you, Wall Street Ann Wagner. You're exactly right. Because for us, it's not about party lines. It's not a partisan issue. Here in St. Clair, it's about fixing potholes. It's about making progress. That's what infrastructure is about. And folks like Ann Wagner have not represented us well in that area. She's done an okay job, but I think there's folks who can do a better job than her, and that's why I'm excited for her opponent, Ryan Sheridan. Again, check out Ryan Sheridan on Facebook. You can go to ryansheridan.com. Highly recommend you check him out. I'm also challenging everyone here listening to take 5 minutes today to go online and fill out this Highway 47 public feedback survey. You can find it on MoDOT's website. They have a Survey Monkey link there. You want to tell them that we need 4 lanes from Washington to Union. We need that. We need safety shoulders. And vote for the cheapest planning option so that the money can make its way down to St. Clair and up to Washington. Otherwise, it's going to stay at that 4750 interchange. This is how we help small towns like St. Clair rise. It's not by waiting on the permission of MoDOT. They've already given us the permission to give that feedback. We're not waiting on their permission to build the project. We want to show them that we have input. We want to show them that we care about this as well. And we want to show up with purpose. That's what this does. When you fill out that survey, you're showing up with purpose. All right. As we wrap up this first episode here, we always want to highlight things that are on the horizon here in America and around the world. So what's coming up this week is congressional talks are going to resume around the government shutdown. We'll have a midweek vote on a continuing resolution, a CR bill that's expected. So watch for that and whether Republicans hold firm or they crumble. Number two is that the markets are staying calm, oddly. Analysts do warn that there will be a correction if the shutdown lingers, but we haven't seen any shifts yet. And then the third thing is a reminder that the local deadline, like I mentioned for the Highway 47 survey, is coming up on October 23rd. So mark that down on your calendars. Be sure to fill out that survey before our next episode next week. I will remind you again next week as well. We'll still have time, but just want to get as many responses as possible for that. And next week we will dive into all issues as we've covered today, but we'll also dive into what does it look like to have be a faith-based entrepreneur. A little bit more about me, how I started in business and how you can start small and you don't have to start with something big. You don't have to get a business loan or anything like that. And how you can also honor God in your business. So we'll talk a little bit about that next week. So be sure to like this video, subscribe, follow me here on social media, whether you're watching this on X or on YouTube or Facebook. I would appreciate that. And this is a wrap for our first episode of Straight Talk with Isaiah Ascher. And as we launch today, the day after Charlie Kirk's birthday, we want to reflect on how we are thankful we get to carry forward his mission, faith in action. We want to have courage in our culture. We want to speak truth without any apology. And if today encouraged you, again, share this video. Please subscribe, tag a friend, share it with a friend, post your takeaways online, comment. I want to build a community of people here who still believe in America's promise and our founding fathers' values in true liberty and freedom. Also, thanks to our sponsors, Fuegos Amigos Salsa, to Divine Spine Chiropractic, and Day One's Apparel for supporting this vision. And until next time, keep the faith, stay grounded, and let's rise higher. See you next time.
I guess that's what you do when you can't be him. That need the dead.